Hey guys, it's Alina here and welcome back to my channel. And I'm surprised that I'm making this video. This is a topic that I think a lot of people can obviously be very resentful on and make assumptions, and it's obviously just complicated, as all family drama is probably complicated. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to share my own perspective and tell you guys my story because, you know, it is a large part of myself and how I grew up. And on that note, I just want to say up front that I'm not going to be going into deep detail about, you know, my parents' relationship or, you know, like what exactly happened, why they're not together. I think that's kind of like their story to tell, and I'm not going to put it on the internet. I guess I just wanted to share my perspective and maybe connect with others who have had similar feelings, and to also just put it out there that whether it is a circumstance like this or anything else difficult that happens in your life, like, it can all be used for good. These things don't have to define you. They don't have to hold you back. And, you know, usually the most painful parts of experiences are the stories that we actually create in our own minds and that we don't want to let go of. So let's just start. So if you guys have been watching my channel for quite some time, I have talked about quite a bit on occasion of how I kind of moved to Canada, a few of my childhood sort of experiences, and that my biological father wasn't really in my life. And it was when I was 5 years old that my mom got married to my dad, Gordon, and we moved to Canada. And basically, give or take a couple of years, I was totally in love with Gordon as my dad and never felt like he was my stepdad. You know, it was never that kind of thing. I don't consciously remember of really feeling like something was missing. Like, of course, I can't remember exactly what I thought back when I was 3, but I feel like overall I had a really happy home life, because even though my mom had to work quite a bit to help make ends meet when we were living in Ukraine and the Soviet Union fell apart and everything was just a mess, I luckily had my Grandma Rita and I had my great grandma Nona, who were at home and raised me so well and took care of me, and my uncle Dima was also around. So I always felt like I was loved and I was supported. So what basically happened when I was born was he was around for maybe like the first couple of years, kind of in and out, but for many reasons he couldn't really stay in our life, and he kind of just kept fading more and more out. So yeah, I don't really have any conscious memories of, you know, him or, you know, what he looks like. Even I have photographs, but I don't, you know, ever really remember meeting this person. And my mom really did do such a good job of, I swore I wasn't gonna get emotional in this video, but I knew that that was probably gonna be a lie. So I have a lot more respect for my mom being an adult than I did when I was a kid and when I was a shitty teen. So for any teenagers out there watching this, please go light on your parents and don't say things you can't take back and be so hard on them, because once you are an adult, as they tell us, you might see things differently. And I'm glad that I finally do see things differently and see what a big sacrifice my mom made for me on many levels. So jumping ahead to happier times, I also want to say just like what a wonderful childhood I did have on many other levels. And like I said before, like, my mom couldn't have chosen a better father for me in Gordon. They did end up getting divorced about 5-6 years after they got married, and even though it was a very difficult time for everybody. You know, I have said many times on this channel that even though I believe in picking your partner as best as you can, like, life still happens and we never know, you know, how people are going to change or how circumstances are going to change. And I don't think that it's fair to assume that you're going to be together with somebody no matter what, like till death do you part. Like, shit happens, you know. And sometimes it is best for all parties involved, including children, that parents, you know, aren't together in that way anymore. That doesn't mean that they can't still parent and that you can still be a family, but it just means that changes have to happen. Even though that also was a difficult part in my life, the other hand of that is having a really good childhood, having so much more opportunities, being here in Canada, having the most like spectacular father that I could ask for in Gordon, because he went like above and beyond for this is why I didn't want to do this video. I knew that this was going to happen, and I mean, it's not like I haven't cried on my channel before. Anyways, Gordon is amazing. He is the best father that I could have ever asked for. He has adopted me and loved me more than I could ever ask of anyone, blood related or not. So bless his heart for being so kind and for still being like one of my greatest friends, even in my adult years here. Like, we talk basically every day and go on so many adventures together, and I love him so much. The one other thing that I remember when I was maybe in my later childhood years or early teens is that I remember people asking me a lot, like, don't you wish you knew your biological father, or aren't you curious about, you know, where you came from or your family history on that side? Because at that point, from my memory, I honestly didn't think about him that much. Because I had Gordon and had this incredible father figure nest taken from me, I didn't feel like anything was missing. And even though I wouldn't say I had, like, you know, anger, or conscious anger anyway, I should say, anger or resentment towards him, I almost felt like, well, what's the point, when I was that age. And what strangely I thought had actually happened, that I just recently found out wasn't the case, was that I swear I remember my mom asking me when I was like 14 or 15 years old if I wanted to meet my dad. And maybe I just misinterpreted the conversation, but I thought that she was asking me this because he was like reaching out to her and wanted to meet me, because I think up until my early teen years they were still kind of in contact with letters, but afterwards they didn't have any kind of contact. Like, I actually have no idea where he is or what he's doing, or, you know, if he's even alive. Like, we just have no idea now. But back then I thought that he was reaching out to meet me, and so because I felt the way I felt then, I said no, like, I don't really see the point in that, I'm not interested with that, and I just kind of let that go. And it was only probably, honestly, in the last 3-4 years, I feel like I say last 3-4 years in every single video, because so much change has happened for me in the last 3-4 years. So in this period of time, I have definitely kind of changed my mind on the situation, and just somehow I started to think about him more, and I tried to actually put myself in his position, and I always would think to myself that if I had a child and for whatever reason couldn't be in their life, I would think about that kid all the time. I would feel like I would always want them to know that if they ever wanted to meet me, that I would always have an open door. So that's kind of the perspective that I started to take on in the last few years. And so, of course, I then started to wonder if I could find a way to meet him somehow. Since my mom had kind of lost contact with him, we really had no idea how to find him, considering like the address that she had sent letters to wasn't, we weren't getting anything back, and the number that he used to have wasn't the same anymore. So yeah, basically we just lost track of him and didn't know where he'd be now. Also, he does have a whole other family now, and to be honest, I don't know if they even know about me. So it's a bit of a tricky situation to go looking for him, not only for those reasons, but because in the last couple of weeks I learned that I misunderstood the situation when I was like 13 or 14 or whatever, and I thought that my mom was asking me if I wanted to meet him because he wanted to meet me. And just recently, like, I talked to my mom and I kind of told her that I was planning on this whole Russia trip to see if I could find him somehow. And when I told her that and said, because he wanted to meet me, right? I feel like I'm finally ready. He wanted to meet me then, maybe he'd still like to meet me. And she said that in the kindest way possible, that he had actually never asked to do that. So that was definitely a bit hard to hear. Obviously, a portion of myself is angry and resentful and a big fuck you to that. But thanks to my spiritual practice and the certain amount of detachment that I do have from totally losing myself in reaction, maybe it took me a couple days, I really started to see the picture differently, because at the end of the day, I technically have no idea what exactly happened, between him and my mom, like what his view of the situation was, or what his reasons were for not reaching out to me or not making it heard that he'd like that, or his situation with his own family now. Like, I have no idea what has gone on in his life or really what kind of person he is. Like, I'm just totally making assumptions about the situation, and I think a lot of us have this tendency of assuming the worst, right? We always assume that, oh, if somebody doesn't call us back, if somebody rejects us, that it's somehow a personal attack and has so much to do with us, when almost always it actually has a lot more to do with them and the stuff that they got going on. So maybe he didn't want to meet me, maybe he did want to meet me, I don't know, but there's really no way to know at this point. And second of all, from past experience, thank God, I am finally learning that it is just not worth it to carry anger and resentment and pain and believe that you truly are destined to victimhood because somebody, you know, did something to you or created some kind of wound in your life that you now forever have to carry. I know that not only is it possible to free yourself from these kinds of emotions and burdens because it's literally you just choosing to continue to carry this. Like, shitty things can happen. They happen to everybody. But it is up to you, and it is your responsibility alone if you want to keep dragging that stuff into your future. And of course, some things are more serious and more difficult than other things. I'm not trying to shame anybody who can't seem to let certain things go, but I just want to let you know, as someone who used to drag a lot of pain and anger with me wherever I went, it's not a fun life. It's not helping you. It's just hurting you. And sometimes the person that you think, you know, is to blame for all of this really had no intention of hurting you to begin with. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all probably hurt somebody really bad at some point in time. And if we expect to have forgiveness put upon us for our actions and our misdeeds, then we have to extend the same kind of freedom to the people who we feel have hurt us. So once I got some clarity on the situation and really sat with it a bit more and stopped looking at it so personally, I kind of did decide that, you know, I don't think it is as necessary as I thought it was before to meet him. I really do feel like I need some kind of reciprocation on his end to make me want to go out there and find him, because at this point I just not only feel like I don't want to put myself in that kind of position, since it may obviously lead to a lot of pain, and second of all, as I said before, like, I have so much incredible love and just security in my parents and the relationships that I have with them. Like, I have a mother, I have a father, and you know, even if I didn't, for the people who maybe they don't have strong relationships with their parents, you know, at the end of the day, it is about you being able to support yourself. It's only been in the last 3-4 years that I have learned how to parent myself and take care of myself. Because even though it's amazing to have these great people in your life that you know you can rely on, you still have to parent yourself. And that's the main relationship that I think everybody should focus on, no matter what kind of chaos is going through their family life and feeling abandoned or having resent towards, you know, what people did to you. I think it's important to just focus on being your best self and being kind to yourself, and not weighing yourself down with feeling like you're missing something in your life. So that's basically the synopsis of that situation and how it pertains to the present moment and the things that I got going on. But yeah, I felt like this would be a good crying video to do for you guys, and maybe there's somebody else out there who is going through a similar thing or can relate with some other kind of situation. So I thought I would put my feelings out there on the line and tell you guys that story, because I do get a few questions here and there when I am talking about my childhood of like, what happened, you know, with your biological father, why is he not in your life, and all this kind of stuff. So as I said before, I'm not gonna be sharing freaking everything on here and just waving around people's dirty laundry. I do try and focus any of my emotional stories on just my own feelings and trying to relate on a more connection-based level with you guys. So I hope that this video was interesting and helpful and maybe healing to you guys if anybody is going through something similar. And thank God that I didn't wear mascara today. I think I subconsciously knew what was going to happen, so a lot less mess to clean up. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. But other than that, I hope you guys are having an amazing day, keep being your own kind of beautiful, and I will see you soon. Bye guys.